Okay, we're good. Okay. So we're recording, and is everybody just seeing the PowerPoint, or are people seeing what I'm seeing on my screen, which is everybody's name?
So the PowerPoint is not showing anymore.
Okay, so let me figure out, enter full screen. I've got the recording stuff going on. Let me see, because I can see it on the back of mine. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Exit full screen. I cannot. Okay, hold on. How do I get everybody off of this? Let's see. Oh, there we go. Now can you see it?
No.
I don't see anything.
Okay. So I'm being really challenged with this.
Marianne, I'll just share mine. It's fine.
Okay, let me.
Well, it says it's paused. There.
You want to, I can see your screen. Do you want to share it in the slideshow format or with our notes?
There we go. All right.
Okay. Well, I think it's probably time to get started.
All right. So we will. We just want to thank everybody for being on the call today. So camp season, as you all know, and I'm sure you're excited about, is here. And so based on our records, the first camp is scheduled to start June 8th, and they'll run through the beginning of August. Again, thanks for agreeing to be a part of this year's evaluation, and your efforts will definitely help us to learn more about camp at the state level, and will help you think about camps in your own counties as well. This year, our camps continue to grow. We have about 21 or 22 camps who will be participating in the evaluation. And Marianne, can you mute everybody?
Yes, I can do that. Is everybody muted there?
Yep, looks like it.
Okay. Oh, including Tamika. Here, let me unmute Tamika. Tamika, I can't hear you. Okay, hold on.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, there we go.
All right, so again, we'll have 21 camps participating in this summer's evaluation, and so that's really great. I think when we first started out, it was about 9 campsites, so we've really grown tremendously. The purpose of this call is to provide you with a review of the purpose of the camp evaluation. We'll also review the tools that we'll be using to evaluate camp, as well as the procedures for administering surveys at your camp. One thing that's good about this is since we've been doing it for a couple of years now, or a few years now, there's been some lessons learned from different camps, so thanks for sharing that, and we've incorporated that into the protocol. If you have questions during this brief presentation, again, please ask. You know, I'm okay with you asking questions as we go along, or if you feel, if you'd like, you can hold it to the end. It's up to you, but you can use the chat pod to ask questions. All right, so the goal of our camp evaluation is to provide a common tool for use across camping programs. It's important so that we can learn about the influence of campers and team staff across the state and with many youth. Also this year, we're incorporating an adult survey I know some of you have used an adult survey in the past, but we're implementing this throughout the entire camp evaluation this year. So thanks to the camping committee for working on that. In the past, some of you may have administered surveys to campers in your county. However, if each county develops a survey and administers it in their own county, we know less about the camp experience. This is because the surveys are not alike. They also ask different questions and assess different outcomes. With the use of a common tool, we can evaluate camps across the state, which would give us a better understanding of how our camps are helping children develop, and to identify potential areas of improvement, because again, we're using a statewide tool, so those questions are similar. So we can look at county level, but we can also have a statewide level of data collection.
Okay, so the first year of this current set of camp evaluations was the summer of 2016. And the study began when the California Youth Development Program wanted to better understand the difference that our camp makes for youth who attend camp and also our teenagers who plan and deliver our camps. So Kendra, our evaluation director, approached the 4-H Camping Advisory Committee, comprised of youth and adults and 4-H staff, to help to figure out what we wanted to measure in the evaluation. The committee worked to produce a list of outcomes that we thought camp encouraged in youth. In other words, we thought that these would be areas where youth would grow as a result of attending camp. And here on this slide, you see the original list that we came up with. I know Tammy Hill is on the call, and she was actually part of, I think, coming up with this original list. And we brainstormed and came up with impacts on our teen staff, impacts on the campers, and then impacts that we thought really touched on both the teen staff and the campers. The smiley faces there denoted that those were sort of the outcomes that many people had identified, and from this list, we selected 4 to explore during that first study: affinity for nature, friendship skills, responsibility, and confidence. Some of the outcomes we're measuring have changed over time as we've looked more closely at the questions that we were asking and whether or not they really spoke to what we were hoping to measure. For example, we decided that it would be better to measure independence rather than measuring confidence. We also decided that we wanted to see if youth felt emotionally safe at camp. So we added that measure as well 2 years back. And we've learned about these changes, or we've learned that it was important to make these changes through listening to those of you in the field who are both collecting the data and utilizing the data.
The surveys, they will measure several outcomes. So leadership is the main focus of the teen staff survey. In addition to the teen staff survey, we also developed a camper survey, which will be taken by teens and campers. So again, teens are asked to complete 2 surveys. This survey will measure friendship skills, affinity of nature, self-efficacy, and independence. It's also been revised in an effort to better fit the outcomes promoted at camp. And then we're also, as Marianne mentioned, we also continue to measure safety as we've included over the past couple of years. And then, as I mentioned before, we also will be sending you all an adult staff survey. And this survey really focuses on adult staff chaperones, their general feelings, their observations at camp, and then their experience at camp. The survey is designed to obtain summative and formative data. Summative data is the information that taps into the outcome areas discussed in the previous slide, so affinity of nature, friendship skills. An equally important goal is to identify areas of program improvement. The survey currently asks youth to tell us about the best part of camp in their opinion, and to tell us what they would change to make their camp experience better. On the slides are examples of other questions that could be used to obtain information for program improvement purposes. These types of questions are optional. So in your camp, if you decide you want to include some additional questions, like formative questions, feel free to do so. In the past, I think one county may have done this, included just like one additional question. But overall, most people tend to stick with the ones that we have. But it is an option to include others if you'd like. And so if you would like to write your own formative questions to include, here are some guidelines to follow. You need to focus on what you really want to know, for example. There are numerous questions that could be asked, but think about your camp and what it is that you and your staff would like to learn. You don't want to ask too many questions, so really think about what's important to your camp. When writing the questions, avoid double barrel questions. For instance, you wouldn't ask, did you have fun and make new friends? And you wouldn't do that because this question will confuse you because they aren't sure if they should answer part A of the question or part B of the question, or if they should respond in a way that incorporates both parts A and B. So be sure that your questions are clear and precise. Also, focus on what can actually be improved upon. So the goal is basically don't include formative questions just for the sake of including them. Really have a reason and a rationale of what you want to learn about your camp when forming these questions, if you so desire. So now moving on to data collection for this year's camp evaluation. So thanks for letting Marianne and I know when you'll be collecting data and who will be responsible for data collection. Marianne, have you gotten emails from all of the camps in terms of this information?
I think I may still be missing one or two.
Okay, so Marianne may be reaching out to those sites just to provide this information so that we have an idea about when your camps will be starting. And so you should have received an email a couple of days ago. And so you've received the email regarding the parent letter. Please remember to send this letter home to parents prior to the beginning of your camp. Parents who do not want their child to participate in the survey will let you know. If you don't hear from a parent, then the parent did not opt out of participation. However, you can decide not to participate as well. So whenever you're collecting the survey data, if a youth decides that he or she or they don't want to participate, it's okay. It is voluntary for them as well. After this call, I'll also be sending out the survey, so the camper survey, the teen staff survey, as well as the adult staff chaperone survey. Again, teens will be asked to take both surveys. Campers will only take the camper survey. And please be sure to print enough of the surveys for all participants. And then I'll also include in that email the administration protocol. So I'm going to show you the surveys now, which again, if you participated in the last year, the surveys are basically the same for the campers and the teens. So here's the camper survey. One thing you'll note that has been edited or revised is the gender question. So in an effort to be more inclusive, the Camp Advisory Committee decided to expand this item. So now campers can choose whether they're female, male, gender identity not listed, or prefer not to respond. And all the other items remain the same. Here are the formative items that's included. So what was a special moment at camp? What was the best part of camp? And if you could change one thing about camp, what would make it better? The same revision was also made on the camp teen staff survey. So again, female, male, gender identity not listed, and prefer not to respond.
Hey, Tamika. For some reason, your PowerPoint, I'm still on the details administer survey helpful docs page. Is that just me or are other people there too?
what do you see currently? Do you see the survey on the screen or you don't?
I see what seems like a frozen of a PowerPoint of the details slide just after the data collection slide.
The one that reads, "Thank you for letting Marianne and I know"?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
So everybody else is moved on and I'm not. Is it? I'll try and I can.
I'm stuck on the same screen.
Okay.
We haven't moved the slide yet.
Oh, that's the right one?
That's the right one.
Oh. Okay.
But I think, Tamika, were you going to?
So the goal was to show the survey. So I thought y'all could see the survey. Hold on a second.
There you go.
All right. So here's the teen staff survey. So again, as I was saying, I'm sorry that you all couldn't see that, was that the gender item has been revised and it's been expanded to be a bit more inclusive. So here you'll notice was item number 5. It used to be whether they were female or male. Now it's whether they're female or male, gender identity not listed, and prefer not to respond. And then the camper survey, this change was made as well. So here again, female, male, gender identity not listed, and prefer not to respond. And then we also have the third survey, the adult staff chaperone survey. So this survey, it'll be printed, well, all surveys can be printed out front and back. The adult staff chaperone survey is a bit longer, however, they are adults, so it'll be 2 pages front and back. And so there's 3 parts. So the first part is, just asking some general questions. It's just, for example, is this your first time being a 4-H camp staff, adult staff, or chaperone? Or do you have previous 4-H experience? And then in part 2, this is focused on their observations and experience working with teen camp staff. And so it's just asking some questions, rating items, teen staff use decision-making skills, or teen staff communicated effectively, as well as asking for some examples. So for example, what levels of youth leadership involvement did teen staff demonstrate at 4-H camp this year? And then they can just kind of go through this and check all that apply. And then in part 3 is some other questions. It's also asking about experience. So overall, how do you feel 4-H camp went? And again, this can generate some information about how to think about program improvement and things of that nature. So you'll get information from the campers, the teen staff, as well as this year, the adult staff as well. All right. So now we're going to go back to the PowerPoint.
And are we moving on to my slide?
Yes. Hold on 1 second.
All right. Okay.
All right.
All right. So this is our 4th year, as I said, to administer this survey. And we've learned some things about the delivery of the survey itself to particularly the large camper group or the large youth survey. We've learned that it's usually best to administer the survey in smaller groups rather than to the camp as a whole. In the protocol, questions are to be read to younger youth, and this just doesn't seem to go over so well in a group of if you have 100 campers. So think about how and where you might administer the survey so that younger kids can focus, that older campers are not a distraction, and everyone takes the survey seriously so that we get back the best possible data. It is okay for more than one person to deliver the survey. You might consider recruiting adult chaperones, to help with this process. just make sure that they've received training on how to administer the survey. And I think Tamika will go over the protocol, I think, here coming up. So we've also heard that some teen staff didn't understand why they needed to complete 2 surveys. So prior to camp, especially when you're have an opportunity just to speak with your teen staff on their own, explain to them about the evaluation, why the evaluation is important to your program, and let them know that the data will be coming back to them. And help them to understand that we're interested in their experience, not just as a camp participant, which is what we call the camp or the camper survey, but also as a planner of the camp program, which is what the teen survey is meant to capture. Remind them that if the campers see them taking the survey seriously, that the campers will be more inclined to follow suit and also take the survey seriously. So I think over time, people have, that there has been greater understanding and buy-in overall of the camp staff for why this is important. And we're really happy to see that.
All right. Okay, so you should see on the screen the administration protocol. So again, here what we ask is that you all will, spend 5 or 10 minutes going over this with your with individuals or people who will be helping to administer the survey. You can be sure that they have access to the protocol. So if you already have an idea of who will be administering the survey, you can go ahead and send this to them, or you could just have them to review it upon, when you're during camp. So again, the protocol is to assist those using the surveys and evaluating their camping programs. And again, this is to help ensure some consistency across camps in terms of how the data is being collected. So one thing that we also ask is that you administer the surveys not sooner. Ideally, I think if a lot of people do it the day before camp ends, because you don't want it to be a time where youth are distracted, but you don't want to do it too soon in camp because they haven't had the full experience of camp. So as Marianne said, it's been found that it's usually better to survey youth in smaller groups rather than try to administer the survey to everyone together. So you may have a time where youth can just kind of cycle through, different groups come in while another activity or something may be going on, and then just do it in smaller groups. So follow the script as outlined in the protocol to help you administer the survey or when you train others to do it. And once you're done once you're done collecting your data, so basically when your camp is over, we do ask that you send the information to me. So here's the statewide office, and the address is listed in the protocol. And so we'll analyze it and get it entered for you, and then we'll send back some reports. So here we go in terms of delivering the survey delivery and administration. So help youth understand why we're doing these surveys. This is important because sometimes we ask people to do things, however, they don't know why they're doing it. So help them to understand the importance of the survey. So you'll be able to read through this, and instead of having to come up with your own version of why it's important, we've provided some language for you. So again, help youth instruct them to complete the demographic section, gender, age, camper, or teen staff. This is important information as well because it allows us to do some comparison data and things of that nature, and it's included in the analysis. So basically it's just reading through this. If youth have questions, for example, dealing with their questions, so definitions. If a youth does not understand the word, rephrase the word to make sense to give them an example. So what is this for? Again, we want to see how kids grow and learn, or we're trying to see how different people think about themselves. So one thing we do want survey administrators to avoid is do not answer the questions for them. They may say, well, I don't know what to put. And so they have an option to leave items blank, or, just let them know, we want to know about you. And, this is not a test. There's no right or wrong answers. So there's no correct answer. It's all about their opinion and based on their experience. So really do, again, take some time to review the protocol and have it available and give it to those who will be administering the survey.
Okay.
Do you see the detail slide? Oh, it's paused. Resume share. All right.
Are we moving on to data parties?
Yes.
All right. So this is one of my favorite parts of our study is the data party. And, like Tamika said, this data is not, just for us. It's for you. It's for you to know more about your camp and ultimately to make your program even better, which means it's also for the volunteers and the teens, who run your program. So to help facilitate the process of understanding the data, the 4-H Advisory Committee, Camping Advisory Committee, has provided an opportunity for those of us in the 4-H camping community to come together with your camp colleagues at what we call a data party, where we'll explore the statewide data as well as you will receive the data for your own camp program. So I know that there are several people, I think, on the call here who have been to a data party, and I just wondered if there's somebody who'd like to unmute themselves and maybe share just a little bit about what that experience, briefly, what the experience has been like for them or for their camp staff. Nobody? Or are we all muted? Do I need to unmute people? Can people unmute themselves? Tammy, are you there? Do you want to share? Tammy Hill? I don't hear Tammy.
I guess I can speak up. This is Nate.
Thanks, Nate.
Yeah. So I'm really, that's, the data party is the beauty of being able to put all of this great information to work. I mean, it's just, you have the opportunity to find out what the responses look like for your individual camp, but then you also get to see kind of what it looks like overall across the state, and it helps you, identify trends and interests and what's important to the campers and what's important to teen staff, and then take that back to your own camp and make improvements based upon the voices of the youth that are participating in these programs. When I went a few months ago, I didn't have data for my camp because they hadn't been a participant in many years, and I really wished that that I did have that data. So I'm looking forward to being a part of this this year and getting my hands on that when it comes back at the end of the summer. So,
thanks, Nate.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is that the data party is where those of us that are on the research team get a chance to listen to you and your thoughts about not just about the survey that has that we're looking at and the data that we're examining, but also your ideas of what other things we might want to look at. And that it was exactly conversations about chaperones and the chaperone experience, and who trains chaperones, and how does us all come about for a variety of camps that prompted us to add the adult chaperone staff survey this year. So it really is a time to come together to share and to understand and to help. The research team can help the participants understand the data, and the participants can help the research team understand the data, and also where, other areas that we may want to investigate. So, and you'll all be invited to the party. So,
Marianne,
Yes.
There's a note in there from Tammy, and she says that she'll share, but she can't unmute herself.
Oh.
So can you do that from your end?
Let's see if I can see here. Can I? Wait. I'm gonna unmute. I'm unmuting everybody now. Tammy, can you talk now?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, I just wanted to share about the data party, how important it is.
Uh-oh.
Can you still hear me?
There we go.
Okay. I just wanted to share how important I thought it was for the teen staff at the data party, because I know I've taken teams and they go kind of begrudgingly at first, but when we leave and we ride home, they talk the whole time. And they're so enthused about what they learn, and they realize how important it is. So I think that the data is really important for us as leaders, but it is really important for the teams. It really gives them a concrete evidence of what they're doing and how they can make change in the program. So I just wanted to share that.
Great. Thanks, Tammy. Last year we had 50 people attend the data party at the A&R building. So I was very excited about that. And this year it looks like we will have over 20 camps participating in the survey. So, and I think that the steady growth and interest in this has to do with the fact that the data is getting back into the hands of the people that it really needs to be with. So, okay.
All right. And so thinking about best practices, as we've reviewed, remember to read the administration protocol and to follow it. And again, there's a script included in terms of helping the survey administrators to administer the surveys to the campers and teams. And then finally, if you have any questions as you prepare to administer the surveys or after you've collected your data, please email me, and here's my email address, twilkins@ucanr.edu. So feel free to send those emails, and again, the address where you should send your surveys is included in the administration protocol as well. Any questions? Because we've reached the end of our presentation. So in the last few minutes, does anyone have any questions or anything they want to share or any concerns?
All right.
Oh, well, Stephen, I noticed you put in the chat, put strongly agree. Put strongly agree where?
Sorry, that was just a joke. You can ignore that.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, so once we get off the call, I'll go ahead and I have a list of the emails and contact people for each of the campsites. So I'll go ahead and send the surveys and the administration protocol to you all.
And we want to thank you so much for electing to be part of this. And I'm excited for this summer, and the new things that we'll learn about our programs are some of the things that will be reinforced, and we couldn't do it without your participation. So I'm really grateful. And if you have any questions for us, contact Tamika or myself. And hearing no other questions, we'll sign off for the evening.
All right. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone. We'll post a recording soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.